I'm Dan, and welcome to 5 by 5, DoingOK's top 5 show. We rank our top 5s and we do it by the 5-minute mark. We're gonna do things like anime, comics, superheroes, video games, television things, and that's what I'm doing today. I am your host this week, and I'm going to tell you my top 5 underrated television shows in under 5 minutes. These are shows that the mainstream never really saw, never really connected with. Sure, they had their niche audiences, sure, critics might talk about them, but they're things that just did not get the viewership they deserve. These are shows that I want to highlight that I love. So here we go. First up, we have Chuck, the story of a nerdy guy who isn't living up to his potential. He's working at a pseudo Best Buy and sort of languishing in the past mishaps and tragedies. And luckily for him, his roommate was a super spy, and spoilers of the pilot, his dying wish was for some reason to send all of the government secrets in an encoded email that gets implanted into Chuck's brain. So now he is a supercomputer brain blaster person. The story of Chuck becomes him having to use knowledge that he has from the supercomputer in conjunction with his 2 handlers, super spies, taking him on missions. They need his intel, he needs their brawn. Adds some really fun dynamics where you have this goofy guy trying to become a superhero and not really knowing what he's doing. It has a lot of romantic stuff that I think works really well. Some of the best Will They Won't They stuff with Chuck and Yvonne Strahovski's Sarah. They just have a really good chemistry. It definitely didn't connect with the mainstream, but it deserves to. Go check out Chuck. Next up is Netflix's Lovesick. I affectionately refer to it as the British How I Met Your Mother. It follows Dylan, a guy who just found out he had chlamydia. So he has to go through and talk to all of his past sexual partners and let them know he has the disease, which is why originally the show was called Scrotal Recall. What it really leads to is him looking back on his life and his loves and his mistakes and his comedic things with his friends. Each episode is titled a specific girl that he's looking back at. It's not like he starts at the most recent girl and goes backward. We're jumping around seeing different moments in his life with his friends and with his ongoing love, and you're trying to piece together this mystery sort of like How I Met Your Mother. Now, the difference is that it's British, so it's a lot drier and a lot more somber, I would say. We have even a sort of Barney-esque character in Luke, his best friend, who's a womanizer, but things get very real with him and he is treated as a person and a real human where you understand where he's coming from and where he's really learning things, and it feels full and it feels believable. This is a much more grounded version while still being fucking hilarious. Next up is one of my favorite shows. I do a podcast on it. It's called The 100. Over on CW, it is a sci-fi series that is massively overlooked by most of the population. It is a fantastic show. It started out to me as a guilty pleasure. It was set in a dystopian future and had a sort of Hunger Games and Lord of the Flies aesthetic where you had people living in this space station after a nuclear apocalypse, and then the space station was dying, so they sent down 100 juvenile delinquents down to Earth to see if it was habitable again because they were expendable. It quickly goes into a very philosophical, very action-packed, very character-driven show with some of my favorite characters ever in any sci-fi or any show in general. It starts out cheesy, but the acting gets so good, the writing gets so good, and it's just some of the most thought-provoking sci-fi I've seen in years. Next up is Youre the Worst, one of my favorite shows on the list. This is an FX show, a dark romantic comedy. This follows a group of people that are just the worst. They are selfish, but they're trying, and they're trying to be better, and it's about the comedic stuff that comes out of that, and also it just does such a great job of turning all the romantic comedy tropes on their head because they fight them kicking and screaming every step of the way, fear of commitment on both sides. You want them to figure it out because you care about them and you know that they can be better, and they disappoint you, but you love them because these actors are so good. And so beyond just that fun, something that the show really evolved into was tackling important topics. Everything from depression to PTSD, veterans issues. It talks about so many interesting things in ways that no other show does, and it takes their time with them. It doesn't just do this special episode of the week. It talks about these issues in a real way. Finally, we end out with the most overlooked show on this list, Sweet Vicious on MTV. It was just recently canceled after just 1 season, and this is a real shame. You have to watch it to really understand it. It is a black comedy about a very serious topic, which is the epidemic of sexual assault on college campuses. There's a superhero of sorts story going on here where you have these girls taking down predators. But the show is so much more than just that girl power catharsis. It really understands the topic that it wants to talk about, and it knows how to handle it and knows how to explain how difficult rape can be for victims of assault. And it takes, characters on a journey for many episodes and really gets you in their head and how difficult that is. It manages to both entertain while also telling you something really important. And I think that that is a really difficult balance that they hit really well. It's a great story of female friendship. It's a great group of characters and a great group of actors. It is absolutely a show that you should check out. So, through the magic of editing, that whole thing was 5 minutes, not including the intro or the conclusion, because apparently this is hard. Hope you can understand. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let's see if next time I can actually make the whole thing in 5 minutes. Please subscribe and check out the rest of DoingOK. Thank you.